Hello everyone, I am Mary Ann Bilarum, and for today's video, I am going to discuss research article in Teaching Science entitled Elementary Teachers' Beliefs about Teaching Science and Classroom Practice, an examination of pre and post No Child Left Behind testing in science.
Problem: Science is now a critical high-stakes subject under NCLB. Therefore, it is feasible to conduct studies that compare elementary science teachers' beliefs and classroom practices before and after the science assessment portion of NCLB was implemented. For the first few years after the implementation of NCLB, schools and teachers directed most of their energy and resources towards mathematics and reading instruction, while science was positioned as a lesser priority. Mixed method approach were used in the study. Both quantitative and qualitative data were collected through a survey of practicing teachers' beliefs about their elementary science teaching, pre-required state science testing, and post-required state science testing. The data gathering tool used in this research are the questionnaire, open-ended questions, telephones, interviews, and phone interviews. The theoretical framework, theory of planned behavior were used. Several research models have been employed to examine human beliefs because of the growing interest in the role of people's belief in their relationships to behavior. Specifically, Hodgson and Matten's theory of planned behavior, or TPB, of 1986 was effective in identifying belief factors influencing intention and behavior. K-12 science teaching, this study was designed to explore the impact of No Child Left Behind, or NCLB, policy on teachers' beliefs and enacted science teaching practice. The first research question dealt with elementary science teachers' belief-based effects before and after NCLB science testing requirement concerning their science teaching. In general, elementary teachers saw the benefit of making science relevant to their students and meeting state and national standards. But there were many perceived impediments to teaching science, including those commonly reported in educational literature, including lack of time resources and materials, as well as the lack of professional development. Interestingly, we found that teachers' beliefs were more influenced by their administration and peer than they were by federally mandated policy. Teachers indicated that time and resources were barriers, but the opinions of others and the school mandates were the most closely aligned to their emerging practice. These findings are similar to previous studies related to science reforms projects in that teachers' beliefs are the key to whether or not instructional practices will be changed and how they will be implemented or sustained. Through this study, we found evidence that highlights a continued need to address teachers' beliefs regarding the teaching of science. Teachers' beliefs are often not the primary focus of professional development programs, which often target pedagogical content knowledge. The second research question explored whether elementary school teachers' belief-based effects influence their intent to teach science in their own classroom, both before and after the NCLB state science testing requirements. This suggests that it is important for elementary teachers to have a positive attitude about teaching science, but they also need to be supported by the people who interface with schools, and they need to have the time and resources to teach science, so they believe they have the personal ability and control to teach science. The third and fourth research question examine elementary science teachers' beliefs as to whether the NCLB required science testing has impacted their science teaching and the impact of NCLB on their teaching. We found that many teachers believe that NCLB resulted in less science being taught at the elementary level. This supports the finding of Griffith and Scarman of 2008, who found that elementary teachers reported a reduction in science teaching as a result of NCLB. The lack of quality science instruction at the elementary level has resulted in a knowledge gap so large that it is often not remediated through further years of schooling. Stakeholders in science education realize that the science instruction in elementary grades is a critical issue that must be addressed. Findings from our study indicate that until state and local leaders make a science learning a priority at all grade levels, this problem will continue to persist. Finally, policymakers need to close the loop and take all core subjects into consideration when determining annual school progress. The ultimate goal in our K-12 schools is to impact student learning. There are layers that filter the probability that student learning will occur in elementary science. Federal policy must make elementary science important and it must count in the minds of school administrators. Example, science should be taught and teachers need a proper curriculum, resources, and time to teach it. Teacher education program must prepare elementary teachers to teach science effectively, and elementary teachers' beliefs should be considered as an important variable which impacts whether science is taught in elementary schools. Only when all of the outer elements in this picture are in line and working for the same purpose can we really begin to have an impact on student learning of science.